Still in studio, Ruthie Blum, columnist at the Jerusalem Post, Jeremy Saltan, candidate for the Israeli parliament from the Yamina party, and Dr. Raviv Schwartz, expert and commentator on civil society. And Ruthie, I want to pick up on a point that was made earlier about the vaccination campaign and the role that this coronavirus pandemic had in the way people voted. At the end of the day, the timing really was good because people could go out in their numbers. So many people, a world record number of people in terms of vaccinations and inoculations. How much of an impact did this process have on the way people voted on the day?
I'm sure it had an impact that people were very thrilled with the vaccines. On the other hand, it also enabled the protesters, the anti-Netanyahu protesters, to live it up. They've been living it up throughout the pandemic, but they were really having it going all out with the Woodstock-like festivities. Here's the thing. It is true that given...
right, by the way.
It's a right, and in a pandemic, when we were told to stay at home, it was a privilege. I'm sorry. That's what I think. However, I would say given the hysteria, the media assault on Netanyahu, the many sectors of the public screaming that we've got to get rid of Netanyahu, et cetera, the fact that he was able, under all this, and including indictments and everything else, and protests against him, to forge the Abraham Accords and to get these vaccines, two huge, it's not just the Abraham Accords, since then there have been other peace deals. It's actually miraculous that he managed to do it under all of this pressure and under these circumstances. And in that respect, I think it kept him from losing this election, the achievements that he made. But I just want to mention something about the egos and the small parties. We have small parties here that are indistinguishable ideologically, Labor and Meretz. You cannot find a difference between those two parties. In fact, Labor has become to the left of Meretz. And to her credit, Merav Michaeli, to her credit for her side,
has reignited the Labor Party.
That's right, reinvigorated it. She's created the base again. It was about to die. So why didn't Meretz just join Labor? Why didn't, and this is what I'm saying, you say no, but I say, look at all these teeny-weeny parties.
Look,
because the leader of those parties says, oh no, I'm not going to, why should I join you? I want to be the leader of the party.
Ruthie, I got to disagree on both your points here. First of all, Likud had 36 seats, and they dropped. Yes. Whatever they got, they're going to get less than Netanyahu had. So again, with the vaccines, with the normalization deals, to say Likud won and didn't lose,
I didn't say that.
They've lost support and they've lost seats. That's what I'm talking about. In terms of the election, we said this is going to be something that's going to drag on for a very long time, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what side you're sitting on. But in terms of the parties of Meretz and Labor, you know, in the previous election, in round 3, everyone merged together. We had less parties. We had the least amount of parties to ever pass the threshold, which was 8. And we ended up in a very, very tough situation. Then you had all of these splinter parties. Everyone who split apart before the elections did better. Meretz and Labor split, they did better. Us and Smotrich split, we did better. You can look at Gidon Saar's breaking off from the Likud, and the two of the parties of them together doing better. Lapid broke from Gantz and he did better. Ram brought, they broke away from the joint list and did better. If anything, what this election has shown us is that the Israeli people gave even more support to the people who broke off and went ahead and said, yes, there are small nuances, but we disagree on these nuances to the point where we're going to go ahead and vote for those people because of those nuances.
Dr. Schwartz.
I'd like to respectfully disagree with my partner here on the panel and resoundingly agree with one of the passersby who was interviewed by your reporter on the street. He spoke in a way that might have sounded counterintuitive, that the results as they are unfolding before our eyes are in fact a reaffirmation of Israeli democracy.
Yes,
I'm paraphrasing. Now, I think he is absolutely right. And the reason is one of the main values that undergird any democratic system is representativeness. And in a society like Israeli society that was characterized not long ago by our president as consisting of 4 tribes that pursue their own interests rather than the interests of the collective, the ability of individuals who belong to different population subgroups, to give that political expression in the political system has inherent value. It's something that most political scientists claim prevents considerable social tension and social unrest of the type we witnessed in Washington when it became clear that Trump had lost. So I think representativeness is very much alive here. It's a vital part of any healthy democracy. Another value, however, that undergirds democracy is governability. And here, Israeli politics has consistently been compromised with respect to the ability of governance, the ability of successive governments to effectively govern. But in some ways, it's kind of a payoff.
I want to throw another spanner into the works here, because according to the current coalition agreement, Benny Gantz is set to become premier on the 17th of November if no new government is sworn in by that date. Jeremy, how does that speed up the process right now?
The Attorney General said that he doesn't want to touch that till after the elections. I'm sure that he will. In fact, I think he should go and explain if that is something that's reality or not. Based on my understanding of, the basic law of the government, that does not seem to me that what they did as a one-off for one Knesset would go on, and then once the next Knesset is sworn in, that it would apply then to the next Knesset. The Attorney General, it's his responsibility to tell us what the answer is on that. I don't think that what Gantz has been selling us, he got a lot of votes for it, but I don't think that what it is that he's been selling us is necessarily the truth.
I'm going to stop you right there, because we're going to go back to Jerusalem. Our diplomatic correspondent